You're not invited. Sophia doesn't want you ruining her perfect day. My family texted coldly after I'd funded their entire wedding. I snapped, then pay for it yourselves, leeches, while canceling everything. Now both families are begging me to reconsider. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Throwaway account because family knows my main. This is long but worth every word. This happened 6 months ago, and I'm still processing it. Posted this story in parts on other forums, but wanted to share the complete version here because you guys always give the best advice, and honestly, I need to get this off my chest. Some of you might think I went too far. Others will probably say I didn't go far enough. Read the whole thing before you judge. TLDR at the bottom, but seriously, read the whole story. It gets wild. Let me start with some background so you understand the family dynamics and why this revenge was so perfectly justified. When I was 12 years old, our house caught fire in the middle of the night. Electrical issue in the basement spread fast. I woke up to smoke and immediately ran to get my little sister Sophia out of her room. She was only 8 at the time, scared and crying. I got her to safety, handed her off to my parents who were already outside, then realized our dog was still inside. Yeah, I know, stupid kid move, but I loved that dog. I made it back inside, found Rex hiding under the kitchen table, but when I tried to get out, part of the ceiling had collapsed and blocked the main exit. The smoke was getting thick, and I was panicking. I could hear Sophia screaming my name from outside, could hear my parents shouting at the firefighters to hurry up. The heat was getting unbearable, and I was down on my hands and knees trying to find another way out when I heard this horrible creaking sound above me. That burning beam came down like the hand of God, massive, blazing, and faster than I could move. It caught me across the left side of my face and pinned me for what felt like forever, but was probably only 30 seconds. The pain was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Not just the burning, but this crushing weight and the smell of my own skin cooking. Rex didn't make it. The smoke got him before the beam got me. Took the firefighters about 4 minutes total to reach me, but that was enough time for the damage to be permanent. 3rd-degree burns. Multiple skin graft surgeries over 2 years. The doctors did their best, but let's just say I wasn't going to be winning any beauty contests. The scars are noticeable. They run from my left temple down to my collarbone. At first, my parents acted supportive. Hospital visits, encouraging words, telling me how brave I was for saving Sophia and trying to save Rex. The dog didn't make it, which still hurts. But once the medical bills started piling up and the reality set in that their son wasn't going to be the handsome golden boy anymore, things changed real quick. Sophia became the new favorite practically overnight. She was beautiful, charming, had that natural charisma that makes people want to be around you. Perfect blonde hair, bright blue eyes, the kind of smile that lights up a room. Everything my parents wanted in a child to show off to their friends. I became the responsible one. Family code for the kid who handles problems quietly and doesn't draw unwanted attention to the family's imperfect child. Growing up with burn scars teaches you some harsh lessons early, like how people look at you. That quick glance, then looking away, then another quick glance when they think you're not watching. How strangers talk to you differently, either with exaggerated pity or barely concealed discomfort. How your own family starts making little comments that cut deeper than any fire ever could. Dad would joke about me staying behind the scenes because I was better with numbers anyway, and some people are meant to be in the spotlight, others are meant to make sure the spotlight works. Mom would suggest I wear high-collar shirts for family photos, or stand in the back where the shadows were better, or maybe just be the one taking the pictures instead. It's not that we're ashamed, she'd say. We just want everyone to focus on the positive, you know? But here's what that experience really gave me: an incredible drive to prove my worth in other ways. If I couldn't be the handsome son, I'd be the successful one. If I couldn't charm people with my looks, I'd impress them with my achievements. I started working construction summers when I was 16. Hard, physical work that most kids my age wouldn't touch. While Sophia was at the mall or the beach, I was learning how to frame houses, pour concrete, read blueprints. The older guys respected work ethic, and scars didn't matter when you could outwork guys twice your age. By 18, I had my contractor's license. By 22, I'd started my own construction company. By 25, I was pulling in around $190,000 a year and had 12 guys working for me. We specialized in high-end residential work, the kind of houses where people drop $800,000 on renovations. The burn scars made dating pretty much impossible through my 20s, so I threw myself completely into building the business. No distractions, no social life, just pure focus on becoming financially bulletproof. Turns out getting rejected constantly gives you insane motivation to succeed in other areas. My family noticed the money way before they noticed my success. Sophia grew up beautiful and entitled as hell. I'm talking next level, Disney villain entitled. She genuinely believed the world owed her everything because she had good genetics and knew how to bat her eyelashes. Never worked a real job in her life. Dropped out of college twice. First time because the professors didn't understand her creative vision. She was failing. Second time because the social dynamics were too toxic. Nobody wanted to do her homework for her anymore. But somehow she always landed on her feet because people just gave her things. She had this way of making you feel special when she needed something, then completely ignoring you once she got it. Classic manipulation, but she was so pretty and charming that most people never caught on until it was too late. The guys she dated were always the same type. Insecure men with decent jobs who were so grateful that a girl like her would even look at them that they'd empty their wallets trying to keep her happy. She'd date them for a few months, drain their bank accounts with emergencies and special occasions, then move on to the next victim. Then she met Derek. Derek Wilson was different from her usual targets. Marketing director at a mid-sized firm in Hartford, we lived about an hour outside the city in Connecticut, drove a leased BMW, wore expensive suits, and had that fake confidence that comes from watching too many alpha male YouTube videos. But most importantly, his parents had money. Real money. Old Connecticut family money. Derek was the kind of guy who talked constantly about building his brand and leveraging synergies. He'd use business buzzwords in casual conversation and quote motivational speakers like they were ancient philosophers. The first time I met him, he actually tried to give me a business card at a family barbecue and suggested I follow his professional journey on LinkedIn. He had this habit of name-dropping expensive restaurants he'd been to and casually mentioning his networking events at country clubs. They got engaged after dating for only 8 months, which should have been red flag number one. But Sophia had found her golden ticket, and Derek's parents were desperate for grandchildren to carry on the family name. The engagement party was at our parents' house, and I'll never forget that night as long as I live. Derek's parents came, Richard and Patricia Wilson, and you could tell immediately they weren't thrilled about their son marrying someone from our decidedly middle-class family. Richard was this tall, silver-haired guy who wore a suit to a backyard barbecue and kept checking his watch. Patricia was one of those women who smiled constantly, but her eyes stayed cold, like she was calculating the social cost of every interaction. They were being polite but distant to everyone, until Patricia saw me. I was coming out of the kitchen carrying a tray of food when she turned around and got a full view of my scars for the first time. She literally did a double take, and I watched her face go through this whole sequence of emotions. Shock, discomfort, then this barely concealed look of disgust. That's when Sophia noticed what was happening. Instead of defending me or changing the subject, she laughed. Actually fucking laughed. "Oh, that's just my brother Jake," she said in this bright, dismissive voice. "Don't worry about him. We're planning to keep him away from the wedding photos anyway. Can't have him scaring the guests, right?" The whole group laughed. Derek's parents. My parents. Derek. Even some family friends who were standing nearby. Like it was the funniest observation anyone had ever made. I watched Derek actually slap his knee like Sophia had just delivered the punchline to the world's greatest joke. "That's hilarious," Derek said, wiping fake tears from his eyes. "Sophia, you're terrible. But seriously, that's probably smart planning. Wedding photos are forever, you know." Patricia Wilson, Derek's mother, chimed in with her own gem. "Oh, that's so considerate of you both. When Richard and I got married, his cousin had this terrible lazy eye situation, and we spent so much money on photo editing afterward. It's much easier to just plan around these challenges from the beginning." "Smart thinking," Richard said with this approving nod. "Image is everything at these events." "Absolutely," my mother agreed quickly. "Jake understands. He's always been very practical about these situations." I just stood there holding that tray, feeling that familiar burn of humiliation spread through my chest. But this time was different. This time, I wasn't a scared kid with no options. I was a grown man with money, connections, and the ability to make their lives very, very difficult. I should have walked away that night. Instead, I smiled, nodded, and decided to see exactly how far they'd push it. That was my first mistake. Or maybe it was the smartest thing I ever did. The wedding planning started immediately. And guess who they came to first? "Jake, sweetheart, you're so good with money and planning," Mom said during a family dinner, 2 weeks after the engagement party. Could you help us figure out the budget for Sophia's wedding? What she really meant was, we're broke and you're rich, so pay for it. But we're going to phrase it like you're doing us a tiny favor. Dad jumped in with his version of emotional manipulation. Your sister's only going to get married once, son. This is a big moment for our family. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be her only wedding. But we didn't know that yet. Sophia had already picked out the venue before even talking to me about budget. The Riverside Manor. This fancy place that charged $12,500 just for the space rental. Then there was catering for 180 people at $85 per head. Photography was $4,200 for the premium package. The dress she absolutely had to have was $3,400. When I pulled out my calculator and started adding it up, the total came to over $35,000. I set down my pen and looked around the table. So just to be clear, you're asking me to pay 35 grand for a wedding where I'm not allowed in the photos. Jake, don't be dramatic, Sophia said, waving her hand dismissively. You'll be at the wedding. You'll have fun. You just won't be in the formal photos because, honestly, Derek's family is very concerned about aesthetics. Aesthetics. You know what I mean. They come from a very image-conscious background. Old money family, country club people. They have certain expectations. Mom jumped in to smooth things over. It's not personal, honey. It's just easier for everyone if we work around the situation. The situation being my face. Don't put words in our mouths, Dad said, getting defensive. We're just trying to make everyone comfortable. That's when Sophia pulled out the big guns. Besides, Jake, this is my special day. I've dreamed about this wedding since I was little. I deserve to have everything perfect. She started tearing up. Those perfect crocodile tears she'd mastered by age 10. After everything I've been through, after all the guys who've hurt me, I finally found someone who loves me and wants to marry me. Can't you just be happy for me? Can't you help make my day special? And like an idiot, I fell for it. Fine, I said. I'll cover the major expenses. The relief on everyone's faces should have been my second warning sign. So I started paying. First, the venue deposit, $4,000. Then, the photographer's retainer, $2,000. Then, Sophia's dress because she was literally dying without it and couldn't focus on anything else until it was ordered. But here's where it gets really twisted. Every single payment came with little comments about my appearance. When I handed over the check for her dress, Sophia said, "At least one of us will look good in the photos." Then she laughed like it was the most natural thing in the world. When I paid the florist, Mom suggested that maybe I should coordinate my outfit with the wedding party so I wouldn't clash with the color scheme. When I asked what she meant, she said, well, maybe something with a higher neckline to balance things out. Derek was the worst, though. He had this way of making requests that sounded reasonable but were actually designed to hide me away. Hey, Jake, would you mind being our coordinator on the day of? You know, making sure vendors show up on time, handling any issues that come up? It would be such a huge help. And honestly, you're so much better at that stuff than the rest of us. What about during the ceremony? Oh, you'd watch from the coordinator station. It's actually got a better view than most of the guest seats. The coordinator station was in the back corner, behind a pillar. And maybe you could wear something dark, black suit, dark shirt. It would help you blend into the background so you can move around without disrupting the photos. Each comment was a small cut, but I kept paying because some pathetic part of me still believed that if I made her day absolutely perfect, maybe she'd remember that I was her brother who loved her. The comments got worse as the wedding approached. Derek started joking about having me work as a busboy during the reception, since you're already coordinating everything anyway, and you're so good at staying invisible. Sophia suggested I might want to consider wearing makeup to even out your skin tone for the photos I wouldn't be in anyway. Mom asked if I'd looked into that plastic surgery we talked about, because it would be such a nice wedding gift to myself. Even distant relatives got in on the act. My Aunt Carol, who I'd helped move houses twice for free, made a comment about how at least one Morrison kid would look good in the wedding album. My cousin Brad, whose student loans I'd helped pay off, asked if I was planning to keep the scary side of your face turned away from people during the reception. Maybe she'd stand up for me just once. Maybe she'd tell Derek's snobby parents that her brother was a successful businessman who'd saved her life and deserved respect. Maybe she'd realize that family should mean something. Spoiler alert, she didn't realize any of that. The final straw came 2 weeks before the wedding. By then, I'd paid for literally everything. Venue, catering, flowers, music, decorations, transportation, even the fucking wedding favors. We're talking about $41,000 total. That's when I got the text that changed everything. I was in my office going over blueprints for a new house project when my phone buzzed. Group text with my parents, Sophia, Derek, and both of Derek's parents. Hey everyone! Small change to the wedding plans. We've decided to keep the ceremony super intimate, just immediate family and Derek's side. Jake, we'll catch up with you at the reception. Thanks for understanding. I read it once, then again, then a third time, trying to make sure I understood what was happening. They weren't just hiding me in the back anymore. They were cutting me out of the ceremony entirely. The ceremony that I'd paid for. I called Sophia immediately. What the hell is this about? Oh, Jake, hi. Don't be dramatic about the text. It's really not a big deal. Not a big deal? You're kicking me out of the ceremony. We're not kicking you out. You're still invited to the reception. It's just that Derek's parents specifically requested that the ceremony be kept to immediate family only. I am immediate family. I'm your brother. There was a pause. Then, well, yes, technically. But they mean like photogenic immediate family. People who will look good in the wedding video. Photogenic immediate family. Jake, come on. You know what I mean? Derek's parents are paying for the videographer, and they want the ceremony footage to be clean, professional looking. They're planning to use clips for their Christmas cards and social media. Let me get this straight. Derek's parents, who haven't paid for a single thing, get to decide who's allowed at the ceremony that I funded? It's not about money, Jake. It's about family harmony. Derek's mom specifically said she'd be uncomfortable having visible reminders of accidents in the ceremony footage. Visible reminders of accidents. You're twisting my words. She just meant that some people find burn scars distressing, and she wants everyone to feel comfortable and happy. And what did you say when she said that about your brother? Another pause. Longer this time. I said I understood where she was coming from. That hit me like a physical blow. My own sister, the girl I'd run into a burning building to save, had agreed that my scars were too distressing for her wedding ceremony. I see. Jake, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. You'll still be at the reception. You can still celebrate with us. As long as I stay in the back where the camera won't catch me. Look, I know this isn't ideal, but it's just one day. Can't you just do this for me? Please? That's when I realized something that should have been obvious years ago. To them, I wasn't family. I was a walking bank account with an embarrassing face attached. You know what, Sophia? You're absolutely right. It's your special day, and you deserve to have it exactly the way you want it. Really? Oh my God, thank you. I knew you'd understand. I do understand. I understand perfectly. Great. Oh, and one more tiny thing. Can you pick up the final payment for the cake? It's only like $900. Sure thing. I'll take care of it today. You're the best brother ever. I love you so much. I hung up and sat in my office chair, staring at the wall. Then I did something I'd never done before in my entire life. I started making calls. First call was to the Riverside Manor. Hi, this is Jake Morrison. I need to discuss the Morrison-Wilson wedding scheduled for next Saturday. Of course, Mr. Morrison. How can I help you? I need to cancel the entire event. Cancel? Sir, the event is in 8 days. According to our contract, cancellations within 2 weeks forfeit the entire deposit, and you're still responsible for 50% of the total bill. I understand. Cancel it anyway. Sir, are you sure? This is a $12,500 venue fee plus catering for 180 guests. We're talking about a significant amount of money. I'm aware. Cancel the event and send me the bill. There was a long pause. Mr. Morrison, I have to ask, does the bride know about this cancellation? The bride will be informed. Second call was to the caterer. Same conversation, same result. Third call was to the photographer. Hi, this is Jake Morrison. I need to cancel the Morrison-Wilson wedding package. Jake, hi. Is everything okay? We're all set for Saturday. The timeline looks great. The wedding's off. Cancel the package. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you sure? We could maybe reschedule if it's just a timing issue. It's not a timing issue. The wedding is permanently canceled. By the end of the day, I'd canceled every single vendor. The florist, the DJ, the transportation company, the cake designer, even the company providing tables and chairs. All of them had my name as the primary contact because I'd paid for everything. Some of the vendors tried to talk me out of it. The florist, a sweet older woman named Mrs. Chen, actually sounded worried. Mr. Morrison, are you sure about this? Your sister seemed so excited when she picked out the arrangements. Is everything all right with the family? Everything's fine, Mrs. Chen. We've just decided to go in a different direction. The DJ was less sympathetic but equally confused. Dude, this is going to cost you a fortune in cancellation fees. Like, we're talking about losing your deposits plus penalties. Are you absolutely sure? Completely sure. Each cancellation felt like lifting a weight off my shoulders. With every conversation, I was taking back a piece of my dignity that they'd been trampling on for months. But I wasn't done. Not even close. See, Derek had been bragging for months about his job, how he was being considered for a promotion to senior marketing director at his firm, how his boss was really impressed with his strong family values and commitment to traditional marriage. His boss was a guy named Robert Patterson, old school, conservative, very focused on company image and employee character. The kind of man who still believed that how you treat your family reflects who you are as a person. So I gave Mr. Patterson a call. Hi, Mr. Patterson. This is Jake Morrison. I'm Derek Wilson's future brother-in-law. I hope you don't mind me calling, but I wanted to reach out about something that's been bothering me. Of course, Jake. Derek's told me so much about the upcoming wedding. How can I help you? Well, sir, I wanted to give you some context about Derek's character, since I understand he's being considered for a promotion. I told him everything. How Derek's family was excluding me from the wedding ceremony because of my burn scars. How Derek had personally asked me to cover up so his family wouldn't be uncomfortable. How they'd taken $41,000 from me and then decided I was too unsightly to be seen at the event I'd funded. I'm not calling to cause trouble, I said. I just thought you should know the kind of man you're considering for a leadership position. Someone who discriminates against disabled family members and takes their money while hiding them away. Well, that doesn't seem like the kind of character your company would want representing you. Mr. Patterson was quiet for a long time. Then, Jake, I'm deeply sorry you're experiencing this. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Derek's promotion will be reconsidered. But even that wasn't enough. I had one more card to play. The wedding was supposed to be on Saturday. By Thursday morning, my phone was exploding. What the fuck did you do? Sophia was screaming so loud, I had to hold the phone away from my ear. The venue says we're canceled. The caterer won't return our calls. That's weird, I said calmly. Maybe there was some kind of mix-up. Mix-up? They said you called and canceled everything. Huh. I wonder why they would say that. Fix this right now. I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm not allowed at the ceremony, remember? I'm just a visible reminder of accidents. I figured you'd want to handle the wedding planning yourself, since it's so important that everything be photogenic. Jake, I swear to God. I hung up. Mom called next, crying. Jake, please, whatever's happening, we can work it out. Sophia's having a complete breakdown. Where was this concern when she was agreeing that my face was too distressing for her wedding? She didn't mean it that way, honey. She's just stressed. Yes, she did mean it that way. And so did you, when you asked me to wear high collars for family photos. And so did Dad when he said I should stay behind the scenes. We were just trying to... You were trying to hide me away while taking my money. I get it. Message received. Dad tried the angry approach. You fix this mess right now, boy. You're destroying your sister's wedding out of spite. Actually, you guys destroyed my relationship with this family years ago. I'm just declining to fund it anymore. We gave you a home. We raised you. We paid for your medical bills. You mean the medical bills from when I got burned saving Sophia's life? Yeah. Thanks for covering the costs of me being a hero. Really going above and beyond there, Dad. Don't get smart with me. Too late. I'm already smart. That's how I made enough money for you to steal in the first place. I hung up on him too. Then Derek called. This conversation was the most satisfying one yet. Jake, man, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. You wanted me hidden away because my scars don't fit your family's image. Message received loud and clear. Look, we can work something out. What if we compromise? What if you're in some of the photos, just not the main ceremony shots? What if you go fuck yourself, Derek? Come on, man, be reasonable. Do you have any idea how much money we've lost? How much this is costing us? Actually, yes. I know exactly how much it's costing, because I'm the one who paid for all of it. We can pay you back. With what money? Your boss called you into a meeting yesterday, didn't he? There was a long silence. What did you do? I told him the truth about your character, about how you treat family members who don't meet your aesthetic standards. You son of a bitch. Do you have any idea what you've done to my career? Your career? Derek, they just demoted you from marketing director to social media coordinator. I'd say your career was already pretty much over. We had a deal. You were supposed to pay for the wedding. The deal was that I'd pay for a wedding where I was treated like family. You changed the terms when you decided I was too ugly to be seen. So I changed my terms too. This is insane. You can't just destroy people's lives because your feelings got hurt. Watch me. I hung up and turned off my phone. But I wasn't done yet. The real masterpiece was still coming. Saturday arrived, the day that was supposed to be Sophia's perfect wedding. Instead, it became the day their entire world fell apart. I drove to the Riverside Manor around 11 a.m., just to witness the chaos firsthand. There were about 30 cars in the parking lot, guests who hadn't gotten the memo that everything had been canceled. Derek was standing outside in his $800 tuxedo, holding his phone and looking like he wanted to disappear into the ground. Sophia was there too, in her $3,400 dress, having what could only be described as a complete mental breakdown. She was screaming at someone on the phone, probably the venue manager, while Derek's parents stood nearby looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. Other guests were milling around in confusion, checking their phones, asking each other what was going on. I parked across the street and just watched the show. The scene was better than any movie I'd ever watched. Guests were arriving in their fancy cars, getting out in their expensive outfits, only to be met with chaos. Some people were trying to call the venue. Others were calling Derek and Sophia. A few of the older relatives were sitting on the steps looking completely lost. Derek's groomsmen showed up in a rented party bus, already half drunk and ready to celebrate, only to find their boy having a complete meltdown in the parking lot. I watched one of them, his college buddy Chad, trying to console Derek while simultaneously trying to figure out if this meant they should just go to a strip club instead. Sophia's bridesmaids were even better entertainment. These girls had spent hundreds of dollars on dresses, hair, and makeup, and they were pissed. I could see them forming little huddles, frantically texting, some of them already heading back to their cars. One girl, Sophia's maid of honor, was yelling at someone on the phone, probably trying to figure out if there was any way to salvage this disaster. That's when my phone started ringing. I'd turned it back on specifically to enjoy this moment. "Jake, please, I'm begging you." Sophia was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "I'll do anything. I'll pay you back every single penny." "Pay me back with what money? You've never had a job in your life." "Derek will pay you back. His family has money." Derek just got demoted to social media coordinator, and his family isn't going to be real eager to support him financially right now. "Please, Jake. Everyone's here. Everyone's watching. This is the most humiliating thing that's ever happened to me." "Good. Now you know how I felt when you agreed that my face was too distressing for your ceremony." "I didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did. You meant exactly that. You wanted to take my money and hide me away like a dirty secret." Then Mom called. "Jake, your sister is devastated. People are starting to leave. The gossip is going to be terrible. You have to help fix this." "I have to help? Where was that energy when you were asking me to stand behind pillars so I wouldn't ruin photos?" "We never meant to hurt you." "Of course you meant to hurt me. You've been doing it for 15 years. The only difference is now there are consequences. But this is destroying Sophia's reputation." "Sophia's reputation is what? A gold digger who uses her disabled brother as a bank account?" "Yeah, that reputation probably should be destroyed." "Please, just this once, be the bigger person." "I was the bigger person for 28 years. I'm done being the bigger person." Dad made one last desperate attempt. "This is your sister, Jake. Family forgives. Family helps each other." "You're absolutely right, Dad. Family does help each other. Family accepts each other. Family doesn't hide their burned son away because he ruins the aesthetic. Family doesn't take $41,000 from someone and then exclude them from what they paid for. We'll invite you to everything from now on. You can be in all the photos. We'll make it right. Here's the thing. I don't want to be in your photos anymore. I don't want to be at your events. I don't want to be your emergency fund. I'm done with all of you." "But Jake, we're family." "No, we're not. Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me. You're just people who happen to share my DNA and happen to know where I keep my checkbook." "The wedding's ruined." Sophia's humiliated. "How can you live with yourself?" "Pretty easily, actually. I'm going to sleep great tonight." And you know what? I did sleep great that night. But the story doesn't end there. It gets so much better. 3 months later, Derek broke up with Sophia. Turns out when your fiancé costs you a promotion and makes you the laughingstock of your office, the relationship doesn't survive. The demotion at work was just the beginning. Derek went from being on track for senior management to being stuck managing the company's Twitter account and writing captions for pet food ads. His boss made it clear that Derek's character concerns meant he'd never be considered for leadership again. Derek's parents were furious about the professional humiliation and blamed Sophia for bringing the wrong kind of family drama into their lives. They convinced Derek that marrying into a family with such unstable dynamics would be social and professional suicide. When Derek called to end things, he actually had the nerve to tell Sophia it was because her brother was clearly unhinged and he couldn't risk being associated with that kind of behavior. The irony was completely lost on both of them. Sophia had to move back in with our parents because she'd never learned to support herself financially. She's now 28 years old, working at a nail salon for $12 an hour plus tips, living in her childhood bedroom while all her friends have moved on with their lives and careers. The Instagram photos of her perfect life stopped pretty abruptly. Derek had to move back in with his parents too, because his social media coordinator salary couldn't cover his expensive lifestyle. Last I heard from mutual acquaintances, he's bitter and embarrassed, and his parents treat him like a disappointment who threw away his promising career over a woman. Derek's parents face their own consequences. Word spread through their country club social circle about how they'd treated their son's disabled future brother-in-law. Connecticut old money families might be snobby, but they also have strict codes about treating veterans and disabled people with respect. When the story got around, and these social circles love their gossip, the Wilsons found themselves quietly uninvited from several charity galas and social events. Patricia Wilson went from organizing committees to being notably absent from invitation lists. My parents had to take out a second mortgage to pay back the vendors who were demanding payment for services that had been canceled last minute. Turns out when you cancel a wedding 8 days beforehand, you still owe pretty much everybody money. The venue charged them the full cancellation fee. The caterer demanded 75% of the total bill, and all the other vendors had similar penalties. They're still paying off that debt. And me? I bought a beautiful house in the mountains with the money I didn't spend on their wedding. Found a woman who thinks my scars make me look distinguished and like a man who survived something important. We're talking about getting married next year, and when we do, it'll be a celebration with people who actually value having me there. The best part is the messages I still get sometimes. Sophia sends me long, rambling texts, begging for money to help with rent, or asking me to just talk because she misses her brother. Mom calls every few months asking for help with bills or home repairs. Dad sent me a Facebook message last month asking if I could loan him money for a new truck. I read every message, screenshot it, and then delete it without responding. They still don't get it. They think I'm being petty and holding grudges, and that I should forgive and forget because family is forever. But here's what they never understood. You can't treat someone like garbage for years, take their money while hiding them away like a shameful secret, and then expect them to come running when your world falls apart. I learned that lesson from getting burned. Sometimes the damage is permanent, and you have to accept the new reality and build something better from what's left. They're learning that lesson now. The funniest part? I drive past them sometimes around town. Sophia working at that nail salon, looking exhausted and older than her years. Derek pumping gas in his cheap suit before heading to his insurance office. My parents driving their 15-year-old car because they can't afford payments on anything newer. I saw Sophia at the grocery store a few months ago. She was using coupons and clearly counting every dollar, buying generic brands and checking her phone calculator before adding items to her cart. When she saw me, she actually started to approach, probably to ask for money again, but I just looked right through her and kept walking. The look on her face, this mixture of hurt and desperate hope, almost made me feel bad for about half a second. Derek's trajectory has been equally satisfying to watch. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he tried to get his old job back, but word had spread through the Hartford business community about his character issues. Turns out professional circles are smaller than you think, and nobody wants to hire someone who treats disabled family members like garbage. His LinkedIn profile used to be full of ambitious posts about crushing goals and building empire. Now it just says insurance agent, with no updates in over a year. And every time I see them, I remember that little girl I ran into a burning building to save, and I think about how she grew up to be ashamed of the scars I got saving her life. Then I drive home to my beautiful house and my beautiful girlfriend who loves every mark on my body because they're proof that I'm brave enough to run toward danger when people I love are in trouble. Too bad they never appreciated having someone like that in their family. Now they get to live without it.